The Pyramids Calm, a story from ancient Egypt. The silent echo of the Great Pyramid. Beneath the vast Egyptian sky, the Great Pyramid loomed, a silent giant against the backdrop of the desert. Its stone walls, weathered by the sands of time, bathed in the warm, golden glow of the setting sun, casting long shadows that stretched across the dunes. The air was thick with the scent of the earth, ancient and timeless, as the wind whispered through the stillness. A lone wanderer, weary from his long travels, had come to stand before the pyramid. His heart raced with awe as he gazed up at its towering presence, feeling the weight of centuries pressing down upon him. There was a sense of reverence in the air, an invisible energy that wrapped around him like a gentle embrace. The wind brushed his skin, cool yet comforting, as if the very earth itself was speaking to him. With slow, deliberate steps, the traveler made his way to the base of the pyramid. He could feel the ancient stones beneath his feet, smooth yet firm, worn by the ages but still standing strong. As he sat on the warm sand, his back against the massive stones, he closed his eyes and took a deep breath. The stillness of the desert night began to settle around him, and the world seemed to fall away. There was something alive about the pyramid, something beyond the mere structure of stone and mortar. It hummed softly, as if the stones themselves were breathing, pulsing with the rhythm of an eternal heartbeat. The traveler could almost hear it, a silent, ancient melody that seemed to echo through the very air, a song that had been sung for millennia. His mind began to drift, the sounds of the desert fading into the background, replaced by the deep, soothing pulse of the pyramid heart. Above him, the stars began to twinkle, their soft light casting a calming glow over the landscape. The night sky stretched endlessly, a vast ocean of stars that seemed to whisper their own ancient tales. The traveler felt himself being drawn into the rhythm of the pyramid, his body sinking deeper into the warmth of the sand, his breath slowing to match the gentle beat of the earth. As he lay there, the line between the past and present began to blur. Time itself seemed to dissolve, and he was no longer just a traveler in the desert. He was part of something much older, something that existed beyond the confines of mortal life. His mind floated, untethered, carried by the ancient rhythm of the pyramid, where dreams and history intertwined. The whispers of the past surrounded him, and in that moment, he knew that he was not alone. The pyramid, in all its silent grandeur, had welcomed him into its eternal embrace, guiding him into a peaceful slumber. With each passing moment, he drifted deeper into the quiet serenity of the desert night, his body and mind at peace, as the rhythm of the ancient stones lulled him into a deep, tranquil rest. The sacred path to the pharaoh's tomb. In the cool night air of the Valley of the Kings, the young scholar made his solitary way down the ancient path, his footsteps echoing softly in the silence. The moon hung low in the sky, casting a silver glow over the valley and bathing the surrounding tombs in an ethereal light. As he walked, his eyes traced the hieroglyphs that adorned the stone walls, their symbols telling stories of a long-lost time. The air was still, yet there was an unmistakable feeling of something greater, an energy that seemed to hum quietly just beneath the surface of the night. The scholar paused as he approached the entrance to a hidden tomb, one that had remained undisturbed for centuries. The path leading to it was narrow and winding, lined with ancient stones that seemed to whisper of the past. The moonlight danced across the carvings, and for a moment, the scholar felt a presence around him, as though the tomb itself was aware of his arrival. The air grew thick, laden with the weight of history, as if the very stones held the wisdom of the ages within them. With a deep breath, the scholar stepped closer to the tomb. The silence was almost sacred, the only sound the faint rustling of the wind against the stones. As he entered, the temperature dropped, and the faint scent of incense filled the air, mingling with the cool stone. There was something comforting about the fragrance, as though it was a welcome into a realm beyond the living world. The soft echo of distant chanting seemed to reverberate through the tomb's walls, the sound that seemed to come from another time, another place. It was as though the very air here was alive with the voices of the past, guiding him deeper into the heart of the tomb. The scholar's heart beat softly in his chest, each step reverberating with the pulse of history. He knelt on the cool stone floor, the chill seeping through his robes as he closed his eyes. He could feel the presence of those who had walked these halls before him, their spirits lingering in the quiet space. His mind began to drift, his senses carried by the whispers of the past. Slowly, the world around him faded, and he found himself walking beside the pharaohs of old. The tomb had become a bridge between worlds. In his dream, he moved through the sacred halls, accompanied by the spirits of those who had once ruled this land. The pharaohs, their faces serene and wise, guided him through the afterlife with a sense of calm and purpose. Their presence was not frightening, but peaceful, an eternal embrace of wisdom and tranquility. In this realm, the world of the living and the dead seemed to blend effortlessly, as if time itself had folded in on itself. The scholar moved freely between these two realms, surrounded by the peaceful energy of the tomb. It was a place of rest, where the spirits of the past found their eternal peace, and the scholar felt a deep connection to them. He was no longer just an observer, but a part of the ancient story that had unfolded within these walls. As the dream deepened, the scholar felt his body relax, his mind at peace. The chants grew softer, almost melodic, and he lay on the cool stone, feeling the gentle embrace of the tomb wrapped around him. The ancient wisdom of the pharaohs lingered in the air, a calm presence that guided him into a deep, restful slumber. And in that moment, as time stood still, the scholar knew that he had truly walked the sacred path of the pharaohs. The whispering winds of the Nile. Under the vast, star-filled sky of Egypt, the Nile River wound its way gently through the landscape, its waters shimmering like a silver mirror beneath the moon's soft glow. The peaceful rhythm of the river, its quiet ebb and flow, filled the air with a sense of timeless serenity. On the banks, a lone traveler sat, his back resting against the soft sand, gazing at the tranquil expanse before him. The night was still, save for the soothing sounds of nature, the gentle ripple of the river as it kissed the shore, the rustle of leaves in the distant trees, and the faint, rhythmic chime of temple bells drifting on the breeze. The air was warm but carried with it a refreshing coolness, as though the wind itself had traveled long distances across the river, bringing with it stories from lands far away. As the traveler relaxed into the soft sands, his eyes fluttered shut, and the cool breeze caressed his face. There, in the quiet of the night, he felt something beyond the world he knew, a deep, ancient presence that seemed to flow through the very air he breathed. The wind whispered softly, a quiet hum that seemed to carry the voices of 1,000 years. In its currents were the stories of ancient kings and queens, of gods and mortals, their lives woven into the fabric of Egypt's rich history. The traveler could almost hear their whispered tales, curling around him like a soft lullaby, carrying the wisdom of ages long past. His body, weighed down by the peaceful atmosphere of the night, began to relax, sinking deeper into the embrace of the sand. The river's rhythm matched the beat of his heart, and he felt the cares of the world slip away. He no longer felt like an outsider looking in, but as though he was becoming part of something much older, much larger. With each passing moment, he allowed himself to surrender completely to the calm that surrounded him. The whispers of the wind continued, and in them he could almost see the golden visions of the past unfold. The traveler imagined the mighty pharaohs who once ruled over this land, their grand processions, their temples rising proudly along the banks of the Nile. He saw the god who watched over them, the sacred rituals that took place under the Egyptian stars. The river, ancient and wise, seemed to hold the secrets of these sacred lives, carrying them with the current to places unknown, to distant lands and forgotten times. As the traveler lay on the soft sands, the gentle lullaby of the wind and water lulled him deeper into relaxation. His breath slowed, his muscles unwound, and his mind drifted like a boat on the river, floating away from the world of the living and into a world where time had no hold. The sounds of the temple bells and the chanting priests faded into the background, blending into a peaceful, harmonious symphony. In that quiet space, the traveler felt himself lifted by the current of the Nile, his spirit gently carried through the ages. He floated through time, drifting back to a time when the world was young and full of wonder, when the land of Egypt was a place of magic, mystery, and endless possibility. The whispers of the wind guided him, and with each passing moment, he felt closer to the ancient stories, the gods, and the kings whose names were etched into the very soil he rested upon. With a final deep breath, the traveler allowed his mind to surrender completely, the river's current taking him away on a journey of peaceful sleep. The wind, the water, and the stars above all came together to create a perfect moment of tranquility, and in the embrace of the Nile, the traveler drifted off, his dreams as vast and timeless as the river itself. The moonlit garden of the pharaoh's palace. In the stillness of the night, the gardens of the pharaoh's palace seemed to come alive beneath the soft, silver gaze of the moon. The air was thick with the scent of blooming jasmine and lotus, their sweet fragrance carried on the wind. A weary servant, his day long and laborious, had found a quiet corner of the garden to rest. The soft sound of palace music drifted through the air, the faint melodies blending with the natural symphony of the night. The servant lay beneath a flowering tree, its petals glowing gently in the moonlight. He closed his eyes, breathing deeply, letting the peace of the moment wash over him. The world around him felt timeless, as though the garden, with its ancient beauty, had existed for centuries, untouched by the passage of time. The soft whispers of the wind seemed to speak directly to his soul, carrying with it a sense of tranquility that calmed his restless mind. As he lay there, the garden seemed to sway in rhythm with the earth itself, the flowers gently nodding in the breeze. The stars above twinkled like ancient guardians, their light a silent promise of peace. The servant's body sank deeper into the cool stone path, and with each breath, his mind drifted further into a dream. In his dream, the garden came alive even more. He wandered through its pathways, each step a journey through the beauty and tranquility of the ancient world. The flowers whispered their secrets to him, their petals opening like delicate books of knowledge, and the soft glow of the moon illuminated his way, guiding him through a peaceful, eternal rest. The stars above, like ancient sentinels, watched over him, their steady gaze reassuring him that he was exactly where he needed to be, surrounded by the peace of the garden and the serene beauty of the night. As his body relaxed further, he drifted deeper into sleep, carried away by the wind's soft lullaby and the tranquil embrace of the pharaoh's garden.